Hello everyone, Hamis28 here, and welcome back to Clayblock. So, as we left off last episode, I built the beacon. It consumed hours of my life. I say hours, it was like 2 to 3 really, of just getting a ton of clay to convert into, what's it called, iron ore, convert that into dust, smelt the dust into ingots, ingots into blocks, but now we have it, and now I can access our terminal from anywhere in the entire multiverse. Now if you come over here, you'll notice I've set up our entire system for producing basic machine holes, as I showed last episode. But of course there is one major problem. We have 2 in here. That's it. That's it. That's really all I got. You know why? Because the inputs are so expensive. All these drawers are empty. Except for the tin cables. We have tons of tin cables. Tin cables, easy peasy. Easiest thing in the world. But everything else, super expensive. And it's mostly because I have to fill these manually, and the biggest, drawback here is these steel ingots. We don't have an automated way to produce steel. I have to do it manually, which isn't that difficult. It's just a manual process that we need to update. And until we can do that, we're bottlenecked by our own production. There's also the issue of redstone as well, because if you take a look at redstone, right now, redstone can really only be produced through block exploding or villager trading. If we had some villagers, then we could buy it from some villagers. I think it's the priest villager that sells it, the one that uses the brewing stand. I believe he sells redstone. Other than that, the only way we can get a lot of redstone is by blowing up red terracotta, which takes TNT, which isn't too bad, as you can get lots of TNT via the nether. And if I take a look at trading, yeah, it is the cleric. So we can buy a bunch of redstone from the cleric if we had one set up, which would help. But steel is going to take a lot of work. But then all of the dust is a really big bottleneck for us right now. Probably the main bottleneck that I foresee is right here, my mixer with sulfur dust. In case you didn't know, I'm assuming the only way to the way you're supposed to make sulfur is through lignite coal crushed dust, right? Because it's a 50% chance. So that's probably one of the main ways you're supposed to do it in the early game. But we cannot get lignite. Lignite coal does not exist, which means the only other way to get sulfur dust is through the centrifuge, which will take 1 bucket of lava and produce 17 sulfur dust, some copper, some aluminum, and some chromium. Now aluminum is needed for the next tier of machines, which means I am going to have to set this up regardless. But as you can see, it's quite the expensive machine, taking quite a few tier 2 materials, electrum cables, large motors, large pumps, electronic circuits, etc. But until I can get one of those, I can't really produce more sulfur dust. The only way I have this amount right now was, if you actually check, you can find it in the end city, along with it dropping from the clay mages. And that's where I got the supply that we're using right now. Luckily it does produce quite a lot of synthetic rubber, but we are going to run out. And until I can get access to, these electric quarries over here, by upgrading our steam quarry, well, all the inputs are going to be a problem for quite a while. And I do have to take this coke oven and this EBF to turn this into a fully automatic steel production, just to feed it back into this guy so we can produce more basic holes. So, to fix the issue of blowing up a lot of terracotta in a automatic way that I don't have to keep rebuilding it, this is what I've been testing. So I have 2 builders, one with a shape card and one with a quarry card, and a chest above them. Now, how I envision this is going to work, and I need to set up a redstone timing to do it automatically, is the builder with the shape card, when turned on, is going to build a hollow cube, and then he's going to shut off. Then, the builder to the right is going to break 1 block. Let me show you. 1 block right here, in the middle. And then above it, we're going to have a dispenser with a redstone receiver pointed directly into it with TNT. And we're going to use this transmitter to transmit a redstone pulse up there, sending the TNT from the top into the box and blowing it up. Just like that. And then all of the outputs will fall to the ground where we can collect it. Probably using a magnetic, magnetic upgrade, because it collects in a radius of 4 and then up 2, which is pretty nice. And we could just have a item pipe pulling from that drawer into a chest to gather all the materials. Now the only issue with this though is, one, it will need a lot of power. Well, not a lot of power. Placing blocks via the builder is actually pretty cheap. It's just breaking them that is pretty expensive. It's just going to be the timing, because the way this is going to have to work is I need this builder to get a redstone signal long enough so that it can build the whole thing. Then once it's finished, the breaker has to break the block, and then we have to send the signal to the TNT. Now I'm envisioning, and it fell right through the floor. And that's kind of part of the problem as well. If we run out of run out of terracotta in this chest, then the TNT will just fall through the floor, and then you can see what's going on. I did try testing a different method where I built a hollow cylinder and sent the TNT down, but that requires way too long of a tunnel. As you could see, the TNT will fall all the way from here at about Y level 45. Which is just not that convenient, especially since when I was testing this, I was over a lava ocean. So you could build a system like that, and it would work, I think, a little bit better. But this one would be a lot more compact. You don't even have to go this high up, especially because we're building a cap on this, which should block the damage from the TNT, because as long as you have like obsidian blocks here, that should absorb the explosion and leave the dispenser pretty safe. So I just have to figure out the timing, and then it should work pretty well. And there we go. It doesn't even take that much redstone. You just need a couple of repeaters with delay 4. That way the builder with the shape card clearing takes the block after the final top one is finished. Have a little bit of delay on the TNT, that way the TNT will arrive when there's a hole for it. And then this one actually doesn't need any delay at all. It's mostly just to separate out the redstone power source. So now you can see if we hit the button, it builds the structure, a hole goes on the top, TNT falls in, blows up, and all of our items fall to the ground. Now you could make this a little bit tighter by placing some more obsidian blocks on the outside so this redstone doesn't get caught here, but all the other redstone falls down into the drawer with a magnetic upgrade and can get pushed into a chest for easy collection. Now we just have to build it in our survival world, and we'll be good to go to automate the production of terracotta explosions. And there we go, it's fully built in a slightly smaller form factor in our survival world. Now there are a couple caveats I've noticed. So you want to have your mangrove drawer, or whatever you're using as a storage method here, to be about 5 blocks away from where it's going to explode. Same with the dispenser. So in total, this entire setup is about 15 to 20 blocks tall. You can make it even taller if you want to increase the safety margin, mostly because if you blow up something like a ochre froglight, which has less blast resistance, it could end up damaging the surrounding area, including your drawer, and then you'd have to rebuild it, which you don't want. This is supposed to be an automatic setup. And I also fixed the builder quarry. I set it to keep running with redstone signal. This lets it more accurately break the top of block, because I've noticed sometimes it does skip it because of the timing. It can be a bit awkward. So by changing that setting, it runs a lot more smoothly. So now, with red terracotta in the chest, you hit your button, it builds the full thing, TNT falls in, it explodes, and our mangrove drawer collects the items. So you can see there, because of the variability in the explosion, the item pipe was damaged. So you do have to be a bit careful about that. Let me grab my wrench here. Oh, that's the wrong thing. Place this, connect there, extract, there we go. Because the explosions are so much stronger in the nether, there's a little bit of randomness into how far away a block has to be damaged. I found it is about 5, but as you could see, even with testing, sometimes you get unlucky and it still damages it. But as for the setup, it's pretty good. It works pretty well. I could probably raise up the platform just a little bit because the dispenser is protected by the obsidian. But other than that, it works pretty well. And you just have to keep throwing in red terracotta, and you could just hit the button, just like that. And all you have to do is keep TNT filled in the dispenser, keep terracotta in here, and it's a very easy way to collect lots of resources. Why aren't you flowing out? Should be flowing out in there. Oh, it is going, it's just going slow. Now, you probably thought I forgot about our Scrimblows. I did, but now they're going to be an integral part of the factory, because we're going to cram the maximum amount of them that we can into a 1x1 square, collect their eggs in massive amounts, and we're going to use that to make coal to fuel the rest of our production. So here's what I envisioned. One, we could easily move the Scrimblows by crafting ourselves one neat Scrimblow sack, and two, Scrimblow eggs normally have to be baked into a kiln. This is not very efficient because we need to keep the kiln fired, but now that we have access to technology, we can use a cleansing blazer, is that what it is? Yes, blazer, to use power to cook our eggs for us. This is going to be very useful because our current power production is based off of these steel boilers, which run off of, you guessed it, coal. But converting water into steam is much more efficient than just burning the coal itself. Now, as you can see, a single cleansing blazer only costs 2 electric furnaces, a primed clay and gear, some steel, and 2 kilns to get 2. So it is extremely cheap. Then we just need Then we just need to move the hopper and a drawer into these guys to automatically capture the eggs and smelt them, and we're good to go. And in fact, we could also use another magnet. Oh wait, no, we don't need to. I'm overthinking it. We don't need to do that. We could just expand the base and add more hoppers. And this is the base. So we're going to have one drawer. This is where we're going to store all of these Scrimblow eggs, and 9 hoppers. Now, using mud, you can craft mud at this point if you hadn't noticed, using water and dirt in the mixer to make mud. You're going to place mud on top of your hoppers. This is useful for reducing lag, I think. I'm not actually sure about that. Now I did grab some white glazed terracotta to build the outside part of, to hold in our Scrimblows. And we're going to build a little wall here. Has to be too high to hold all of them. And I'm doing a 9x9 because we could cram all of them into a single block hole like I did before, but there's a maximum amount of Scrimblows we can fit in there, whereas if we use a 9x9, we could hold 9 times as much. So let me go ahead and put the ladders, we'll put it on this side. We'll cover up the hoppers so it looks a little nicer. There we go. And we can get a nice pattern from the glazed terracotta. It's like a seashell kind of pattern. And put our ladders right here, so we can climb on top. Now let me go ahead and move all of our Scrimblows inside. And there we go. All the Scrimblows are inside. So now we can breed some more to get more eggs, store the eggs in here. So now I can grab out all of these to make some room. Egg, Scrimblow eggs, take all these out, because they only stack to 16, which is pretty annoying. And we're going to need a drawer upgrade for this, I'll add that later. But now we just need to grab some item pipes, hook it up to this cleansing blazer right over here, connect that to this, extract, whitelist goes in, power goes in here. Then we need to grab some tin cables that we have in abundance over... Where's tin? Ah, right here. And connect it to the power network, like so. Oh, that's annoying. You can't connect different cables. Honestly, I shouldn't have been surprised. I should have more curium cables though. I'm just gonna have to make sure going forward I either keep making curium cables or I update everything to tin cables. So attach the curium cables here. And now the cleansing blazer gets to work making 3x compressed clay. Now the 3x compressed clay just has to go into a furnace, right? Well, oh, interesting. Okay, I forgot about this. So if we put it into a furnace, that turns it into terracotta. If we throw it into a pristine infuriator, we get coal ore, but if we throw it into a second cleansing blazer, you get coal. Now the coal is useful, but the coal ore is even more useful, because if you remember, well, that's coal dust. Where is it? I think it's over, it's on the other side. Where did I leave it? Coal dust, here we go. This drawer takes in coal dust because I macerate it down into crushed coal dust and then into coal dust because it's more efficient. So what we're going to have to do here is we can, for now, just put the cleansing blazer right there, set you to auto output, have you go to the right. So now the compressed clay goes in here, then hook this up to power. So now the compressed clay is getting cooked into coal, and then we can have that coal get piped into our steel boilers. Now I did fill these with blocks of coal, so we don't need to do that yet, but I can actually set that up in advance, because filling all of these steel boilers with blocks of coals literally ate up all the coal I had spent gathering. But now I don't have to do that because it's fully automatic. So now we just unwhitelist all of these, and now it will run forever. We do need to add a little bit of a upgrade here so that it can hold more Scrimblow eggs, because I believe... What do I believe? I believe that at some point we might be overwhelmed the machine with coal and then have too many. Now you could just automatically convert the coal into coal dust. Well, not coal dust. We could turn that into coal coke and then run coke in these. But that would just add another step, which I don't think we need yet. We're running everything off of 2 LV steam turbines, and as you can see if you hover over it, we're actually producing a surplus of power, so we don't need to do anything about that yet. But for now, I can start taking some of this compressed clay, and we can use that to breed more Scrimblows, and then have even more Scrimblow eggs. Let's see, I should be able to breed them if I just come in here, right? Yep, right click. And they can still waddle around, even if you tell them to sit, which is nice. And I believe the babies spawn sitting down. I can't actually tell. They look like they're sitting. Let's see. Okay, now they're sitting. I could test it just by walking out and then seeing which ones follow me. Let's see. Let's see the baby chickies. Where are they? Speaking of baby chicks, well actually it's not a baby chick, yep, 2 of them. Let me get you to sit down, both of you. Speaking of babies, well no, they're not babies, they're fully grown adults. Now that I think about it. Oh, a third one escaped. The American woodcock made its way back to Manhattan a couple days ago. So I've been seeing tons of videos about it, and it's such an adorable bird, the way it does its little dance to get worms to crawl out of the ground. It's hilarious. My favorite video I've seen of them was when it must have been a family of them, because there was a big woodcock followed by 3 little chicks, and they were all doing their little shimmy looking for worms. It was adorable. Next, now that we have a pseudo infinite power source available to us via chicken eggs, or all Scrimblow eggs, what I was thinking is now I should automate iron. Because clay can now be produced in a mixer with water and sand. Sand can be produced in a macerator from gravel. Gravel can be produced in a macerator from cobblestone. And cobblestone can be infinitely replicated in a mixer with water and lava. As you can see, they're not consumed. And a single cobblestone produces 2 cobblestone. So as long as you have 1 piece of cobblestone in the mixer, you can infinitely produce many more. Which means, since iron only takes, and if you take a look here, it's iron, and I want the ore variant, I believe. Iron ore is made from 4x compressed clay, which is 1024 clay balls. Divide that by 4. Gets us 256, which in the grand scheme of things is not that much, considered that we're going to be running this forever. And what this is going to build into is we can use all of this iron to make into, let's see, iron ingots. We should be able to actually, if I take a look, iron ore can be macerated into raw iron, which can be macerated into iron dust, which can be mixed with our coal to make coke dust to make steel. So we can essentially fully automate the production of steel thanks to our Scrimblows and their eggs. Let's get started. Yeah, you know, I'm running the numbers here, and it honestly doesn't make a lot of sense for me to try and automate iron production from cobblestone. As you can see here, this is the full setup it takes to make clay, and then you can do it without power using a crafter, and it's honestly quite fast. But the issue is that it's just going to be way too slow. Now, these are only at half of their overclock capacity, as you can see. They all of these machines max out at 32 EU per tick. But to reach that, I would have to add, I think another, because each steam turbine, take a look here. Turbine. Each steam turbine can produce 32 EUs per tick, which means if I want all of these machines to max out, I need 4 steam turbines, but each steam turbine requires 2 steel boilers to max out their energy production, which is doable, but then at that point I'm burning so much coal producing steam that it doesn't make that much sense. Now, as you can see here, we are producing 1 clay about every, it's hard to tell honestly. We could probably check it if I take a look at this guy, mixer. It's every 5 seconds at 2 EU per tick. We're currently at an 8.5 overclock. So instead of 5, it's probably about every half second, by the looks of it, we produce clay. But even at half a second of clay production, it's still going to take a massive amount of time to turn that clay into our ore, when you consider the fact that if I take, say, an obsidian hammer or excavator in the nether, well, not the nether, in the end, I can mine 25 triple compressed clay in about a second. So by manually mining clay, I could produce iron ore way faster than this, which makes it kind of redundant. What that means is, if I truly want to automate everything passively, we are going to have to work our way up to the electric quarry. And we're almost there. Now that we have fully automated basic machine holes, the next thing to automate is going to be robot arms and small motors. That way we can move up to electronic circuits and large motors and advanced machine holes. Because as you can see here, in an advanced machine hole, the only thing we have to add to our current production is the ability to make electrum, cables, which is pretty easy, as electrum is just an alloy of silver and gold. Electronic circuits, which will take analog circuits, which we already can craft passively, but then add in diodes, transistors, and electronic circuit boards. And I don't think these ones should be that much more difficult. As to make transistors, we need electrum fine wire. Okay, so we're going to need a lot of electrum. I'm going to move away from production while I talk, it's a bit loud. So this will take electrum and silicon plates will be new, but silicon ingots are pretty easily crafted by the looks of it from silicon dust, and silicon dust is an alloy of quartz and carbon dust, or quartz and coke dust. Now obviously it looks like this one is a bit better through efficiency, as carbon dust and 2 quartz produces 2 silicon, whereas this takes 2 quartz and 2 coke dust to produce the same. And it would just take another EBF. So I think at this point this is what we have to do. We can passively make the steel machine casings and gears along with the steel, kinda. So making steam cores at this point is pretty easy, especially making the rotary blades. It's not that difficult. And item pipes are pretty easy as well. So we're going to have to work our way up to that. And then once we have access to the electric quarries, we'll just need to start making drills passively as well. And the first one we would kind of want to get is going to be the energized primed clay drill, as that will let us make a lot more clay much more efficiently than trying to do it with the steam quarry. I like that we made the steam quarry. It works nice. The only issue is there's not enough bang for our buck here. It's pretty expensive to make these drills, as you can see. You get 4 out of it, but they do break pretty fast, since they only really get about 25 uses per. I guess really the most annoying thing is having to use block crushing to make the primed clayum at this point, because there's no way around that until we get up to the implosion compressor, which is quite advanced. And I don't think we're going to get there for quite a while. Now, I'm going to have to rethink my whole philosophy, because before I did my math based on the assumption that you only get 1 drill. But then I remembered you don't get 1 drill, you get 4 drills, which means you can put 4 in here. And then I remembered, well, I didn't remember, I saw it when I was looking. If you take a look at the quarry, we can overclock the machine by giving it gunpowder. So if I put gunpowder into this slot, is it going to run twice as fast? I'm not actually sure how that functions, because it just says use gunpowder to 2x this machine. So I don't know if it means you put it in here or you like right click this. Okay, I think you just right click this. So I can right click a whole bunch of this to increase the speed by 2 times for 2400 ticks, which is quite a long time. Now it doesn't look like this can go any faster, but since you get 4 of these drills from a single craft, this actually changes the expected value by quite a lot. Because before I did the math based on the idea that the primed clayum drill on average doesn't replace itself. But with 4 of them, on average it does replace itself, because 4 of them, a single drill has an expected use of 25, times 4 is 100, times 100 uses, times the production chance of 1.8%, means, on average, we can replace the drill at least 1 time. Now these are averages, but the math does check out, and this is much more effective than what I was planning to do a second ago, which was taking the overflow from the Scrimblow eggs and just having that get converted into 4x and then using that to make iron. This would work a lot better. And then realizing that I can double the machine speed by using gunpowder is actually really useful, because gunpowder is actually really cheap to craft. Oh, interesting. I didn't know about this craft. You can actually make twice as much TNT by making it in a mixer. Interesting. But the one I was looking at was actually the, not these. It was this one. You can make gunpowder by blowing up gray concrete powder, which you can find in the nether in pretty large quantities. So this actually changes the game, because that means now we can actually produce iron in pretty good quantities, and since it comes as the compressed clay, all I have to do is hook it up to a blast furnace to do that, or get to the pristine infuriator, which I do want to do. The only issue here is that to make this we need a stained nethercotta gear. Better yield with this one. Oh, you get to make 2 of them in an assembler. Interesting. But to get access to stained nethercotta ingots takes another block crushing build, which will take sulfur dust, which means realistically we can't start making stained nethercotta until we get access to the centrifuge, so we can start making it from lava, which we're almost there, as this one only takes basic machine holes. So I think I should work on this next, as it seems like a lot of our production is going to hinge on the centrifuge. Now what is very annoying about tier 2 is that it does take quite a lot of aluminum to craft things, and it seems like the only way we can get access to aluminum right now is through bauxite, and bauxite comes from dust, and the only way to get bauxite dust is by blasting 10x compressed clay to get 48 of it, which does yield, I think, a couple blocks, like 4 to 5 of them. I think 48 divided by 9 is some number. 9, 18, 27, 36, Yeah, so isn't that 5 blocks? I think that's about 5. But that's extremely expensive, because then a single block of bauxite, throw it in here, only gets you a single aluminum ingot. And then we're going to need quite a lot of aluminum to actually craft this stuff, because we need aluminum plates, aluminum rods, and that's about it. But it is doable, it's just going to be very expensive. But there you can see, we got a 10x compressed clay. Very nice. So that's our bauxite right there. Perfect. So really, as long as we keep the steam quarry going and feeding it gunpowder to run at twice the speed, this should be what we have to do to actually start automating the rest. Now, what I need to do right now is tear down this EBF and this coke oven. That way I can just input coal dust and iron ingots to make our steel. And then we need to hook up this machine to our infrastructure over here so it can keep making steam. Because as you can see, it's running out of steam and it's going to shut off pretty soon. Alright, so I don't know why I was complaining. So taking a look at the steam quarry, it used all 4 drills. And if we take a look, it produced 2 9x compressed clay, 10x compressed clay, 8x, 7x, and all the rest. Which means we have more than paid for the clay needed to make the clayum needed for the primed clayum drill. Which is phenomenal. That means you do turn a profit, and my math was wrong prior. I thought it was mostly just like inefficient and kind of random for being steam, but it's actually very powerful. Now, as you can see over here on this side, I rebuilt our steel production by adding 3 more coke ovens. Now, someone in the comments did make the joke of, oh, I expect next episode for another 256 coke ovens to be built. I'm not that crazy. Yet. But now it works. So this has a drawer for coke dust and iron ingots. It gets sent in. The coal dust gets turned into coke. The iron ingots are thrown into a macerator and then mixed together with the coke dust in order to make our thingamabob, and it's turned into steel. And now that we have more steel, I can take this and then just plop it into this machine over here, and we can use that to make more basic machine casings. Now, of course, now that this is working better, what I need to do next is we need to automate the process of making these drills. Now, as you can see, there is no functional difference between using the assembler or the crafter, other than it's fully automatic, but there is a cheaper method to make these drills if you make it in the assembler. Now, we already produce soldering alloy, so I can just steal that from our production over here to do so. But the rest is really annoying. So primed clayum gears can also be made in the assembler. I don't think we actually have to do anything else, right? Throw this into a compressor. Yeah, so the only thing we can't do yet is automate the production of clayum. That's the only thing we can't do. So I still have to manually craft it myself by dropping an anvil on it, but other than that, we're good to go. What this means is the next thing I should passively automate, which we are using quite a lot as you notice, is our item pipes and fluid pipes. Now, I didn't automate them yet because they weren't too bad to make, as you can tell, because it's mostly just curved and then steel gears, which was pretty easy. But now that we're passively making steel gears over here somewhere, steel rod, there we go, steel gears over here, along with the soldering alloy, just got to refill that at some point. All we have to do is add passive automation for the bronze, which all it will take is a compressor with the bronze plate, and then bronze ingots are just made by mixing tin dust and copper dust to make bronze dust. So this is just yet another input, but we do need a lot of these, and we're going to be using them quite often. So this is going to be something important to do. And then for the fluid ones, uses bronze. So it's actually going to be a double duty. And then it will take glass and copper rotors, but we can automate glass production pretty easily. And copper rotors are also pretty easily done, as they just take copper blades and copper rings. But something I do notice is I think we're going to start reaching the limits of our power production. Right now, as I've added this guy in, as you can see, we're kind of breaking even on power, or the machines are getting underclocked right now, which means I'm going to have to start adding some more steam turbines to keep up with the production, along with more steel boilers. But since we are making essentially infinite coal, we should be able to keep scaling up. But the big limiter here is going to be that we're still in LV, so the maximum we can ever support is 256, and with these steel, not the steel boilers, with the steam turbines, if we take a look, turbine, each one produces 32 EU per tick, and the max is 256, which means the maximum amount of steam turbines we can support in an LV network is 8. So we're actually only at a quarter of production capacity, which is not that bad. And then we should be able to upgrade pretty soon, because if we take a look at cables, we can technically start using electrum cables, which are MV, and that will quadruple our power. But they can only extract from machines that are also at MV, I think. That's how it works. I'm not actually sure how exactly that's going to function. But we have a lot more stuff to continue setting up. So I'm going to continue. But we have a lot more stuff we need to set up anyway, so I'll just continue with the item pipes and the fluid pipes. That way it'll make the rest of our production go so much more smoothly. Honestly, sometimes my own genius frightens me. I realized, now that we can just produce these compressed clays, I can have those get exported to Cleansing Blazer, where they get processed into the raw version. So stuff like coal can just be directly processed in a macerator and sent into our coke ovens to make coke dust. Wait, why is there coke dust in the item input hatches? Because I didn't blacklist it, and now it's getting pulled out of the output hatches to go inside. That's not good. Okay, well I can fix that just by blacklisting these. This is one of the few times it does hurt to be lazy that I always forget about, because if you've noticed, I've just been telling like everything, oh, just blacklist, it doesn't matter, just let everything go in. Yeah, this is starting to bite me in the back, because now it's trying to put coke dust in the oven, when that is not supposed to happen. There we go. Take out all the coke dust. Now I just need a couple more item pipes, because now that we have raw iron, I could just have this raw iron get directly pushed into the electric macerator instead of breaking down the iron ingot, and then have that automatically produce steel. So as long as this guy is running, we can keep making steel, which is phenomenal. And then, since we're passively crafting steel all the time, I can have an item cable come from this drawer here and route all the way back over here to these two machines to constantly produce our basic machine holes. Okay, that's honestly really sad. Remember when I started the episode and we had 2 in here? Well, now we have 6. So that's honestly disappointing, and that was after I added like a bunch of steel in here. Huh. Okay, well that's why we're passiving everything. That way I don't have to worry about it. Regardless though, it is starting to work pretty well. The only thing I still need to finish, because I got sidetracked by doing that, is I just need to make the drills fully automatic. Because if the drills are fully automatic, then the item production is fully automatic, and that means our item inputs are fully automatic, and if every item input is fully automatic, then the machines will just run forever. Now I did go ahead and add those extra turbines, as you can see here, and they seem to be working just fine. So it's a good thing I set up the automatic chicken egg into coal farm. And luckily, one electric water pump is actually really good. Seems like even running all of these machines, we don't really need any more water pumps yet. I do see it, I would say it's starting to struggle, but it's actually still producing a surplus even after I added all of these machines. So one water pump is honestly really good, and we still have production for 4 more steam turbines, which is really nice. So I think in between episodes, I'm going to finish setting up the item pipe and fluid pipe passive automation. I need to add the raw iron into here, and then I think I need to also make... Do we need iron? I do need iron for some stuff. So I think I would have to add item pipe here, push all the way to the macerator, macerate the iron into iron dust, and then split it between the mixer and a furnace so we can have iron ingots available, because we still need a lot of iron for stuff at this point. Or do we? I'm not actually sure. I don't think I've actually needed a bunch of iron for anything apart from chests. So I think we're good on that end. But of course, you could already tell, this episode has gone on quite long enough. I'm your host, Hamas28, and I'll see you guys next time.